there now?
Regarding the process to date of the elections, we have lodged a number of concerns with the IEC, and from a formal point of view, meaning in a form of letters that we've sent to the IEC, one requesting in terms of prior access to how certain companies were appointed. That was not responded to. It was a moot point. We lodged letters as it pertains to, and objections in effect, I think it was as per section 55, 2 letters. The IEC had not responded to those letters. Instead, they pulled us into a room when we actually said that we would like to have a press, and more so they should be addressing the nation and all the other parties, because there's certain fundamental issues that we raised of concern regarding their conduct, regarding their processes as well. There's a lot of discrepancies which we'll unpack what those are and what has led to this decision that we're taking, that they didn't respond to, and which we're not satisfied. And as it is, Muzi Njinila is our head of elections. He will then obviously touch on the details. And then, I'll talk around what are the issues around the system glitches that we've raised and what our concerns are. And then we'll close it off with what effectively is our decision. So I'll open it up to our head of elections, and then he'll unpack all the issues that we've highlighted.
Yeah, of course. No, thank you very much. But you would have observed a statement that was released on the early hours of daybreak on Thursday morning, registering our concerns on the manner in which IEC was handling the entire electoral process. So serious transgressions were happening. Now we're receiving a lot of complaints and information from our party agents where result slips that are compiled by presiding officers are not in line with what would have been presented and recorded by our party agents. And that also directly impacts on the numbers that you are seeing behind us. So in a potential or primarily we are saying now, we don't recognize these results, we object them. We are calling for immediate manual counting because this has infringed on the rights of South Africans, to decide a government of their choice. And they also did not communicate effectively the changes in the electoral constitution, electoral act, particularly section 24, wherein members of the society can only exercise their rights to vote in districts that which they would have been registered for at. And that was not effectively communicated. And that also denied them their democratic right to decide on a party and a government of their choice. And now that has led us to this situation where we have to take a stand and decide, in fact, shun this exercise and say, IEC, your integrity is gone. You are not impartial, you are not independent. In fact, you are aiding whatever it is that you were doing against the independence and the participation of parties in them deciding the government of their choice and what they want. So this is the position we're making. We are rejecting these outcomes. We are rejecting these results.
Pertaining to the systems, in our statement we made it very clear that we find it strange that an institution such as the IEC, having a service provider like Telkom, which manages world-class systems for world-class clients, banks, companies that need to have uptime at a 99%, finds itself with a system that shuts down for 2 hours. So that's what we wanted the IEC to also tell us. What transpired in those 2 hours? They have not responded to us. And again, even the question around who is this individual, that is this technician that was found, how did they come about the realization that this person may have been involved? What led to the investigation and the questioning of this individual? So, there's a lot of issues in terms of how the IEC has managed this process that have raised serious flags and concerns for us, and also correlated with what we've picked up on the ground in terms of the voting stations, as it pertains to the slips. So there's just at this point no confidence in what is happening on that screen, and we are effectively requesting a recount, and we're rejecting what you're seeing on the back of us right now.
I mean, the level of secrecy around the individuals that were found loitering around the servers in the early hours of this morning, where even the minister who's responsible for police was also there. But that thing is not communicated, it's downplayed, and it's very serious. So we would have expected IEC to give a report around that. But we are saying as a party, we are not satisfied, we are not happy, and we are going to challenge whatever it is that is happening here to the very end.
And if you wanted to find out if President Zuma is aware of this, he has been briefed. Tudizile has spoken to him. He's fully aware, and he supports the decision. Anything you'd like to?
And you feel as though the MK party would have done much better than this?
Most definitely.
It's not a true reflection.
Our campaign speaks for itself. I mean, what is happening in KZN? KZN, the numbers that we have vis-a-vis what is projected behind us is a serious disconnect. We are also calling for a recount that side as well. We can't bet 44%, and now I'll go at 45. Now it has dropped to 44. I mean, what do you make of that? We can't sit back and watch a democracy being destroyed by those that want to continuously sustain or preside over a system that continues to disrespect and undermine the independence and the democracy of everyone else in the country. We can't allow that.
But is that an accurate description of what's going on? The reason why it dropped, according to our knowledge, from 45 to what it is now is because voting is still continuing. How do you explain asking for a recount when counting is still continuing?
At 90 odd something percent. At 90 odd something percent. Will that make any material effect? At 90%.
But the results are not final.
At 90%.
Yes, but they're not final.
No, but here's the question. The ability or the option to actually lodge a complaint or any objection closed at 9 o'clock. So if we raise does that
Where
make
do you
sense?
raise them?
Where do you raise an objection?
Where do you raise
Is
issues?
that you lodged a complaint in the Western Cape as well, with the results down there. You and the EFF lodged complaints, right? You still have an opportunity to lodge a complaint with the overall results. Have you ventilated these issues with the IEC? Earlier on, they told us that 36 objections have been raised and 15 have been solved. Are yours one of those complaints?
We sat with the CEO off the back of the letter that we sent through. Those were not satisfactorily addressed.
Addressed to us.
And that's it.
Any chance that you'll be approaching courts, given that 9 o'clock has passed, so which basically means the objection, you can't be able to raise the objection. So are you going to courts anytime soon?
But that's the point we're raising. That, if there's any discrepancies or any issues that we pick up even now, which we have been picking up even after 9 o'clock, I mean, where else do you raise an objection when it's actually cut off time? So as you say, maybe the only option that we have is electoral court. But do we have enough time to take into consideration the fact that it's now sitting at 90% to be able to raise that issue?
But before you go, according to the Electoral Commission Act, before you go to the electoral court, you must first dispute a decision of the Electoral Commission at the electoral court. So what decision will you be disputing at the electoral court? What decision do you wish to appeal or review at the electoral court when you go to, when you approach it?
So are we expected to wait for? I'm asking a question. Are we expected to wait when the country is about to ban? And also, we also want to urge our members not to act on these things, because the agitation on the ground, you would not understand it. But we are saying we had to make this statement before the final outcome of the counting of these results, so that everyone is aware of our position and how we feel about this process.
And this is taking into consideration the temperature, as he's referring to.
Yes.
Can I ask, but the jurisdiction of the electoral court, right, is to review or appeal decisions that have been made by the Electoral Commission, but there is no decision that has been taken by the Electoral Commission. So how would you be approaching the electoral court?
I think intellectualizing a matter that people on the ground don't understand. And that's just the reality that we're dealing with here, and hence the urgency of this engagement. Okay? So the administrative processes will be dealt with accordingly. But it's important that we raise our concerns right now based on what is being brought by our members and people of civil society, which is an environment right now which is very volatile. And we can't afford from MK Party to be associated with anything that would lead to that. And hence, it's important that we raise these issues on behalf of our members and behalf of civil society and say, yes, we're taking the stance. Based on what you've communicated to us, we'll communicate to the rest of the country. That's just the reality.
I mean, as we stand here, there are 2 members of MK Party that were brutally murdered tonight. And we are saying we can't want to recognize the results of a process that we don't recognize anymore. So hence, we had to make this statement. Whether the results come in whichever way, we don't recognize the process because the process was flawed with many discrepancies. So we don't have to wait for 100% counting on a process that we don't recognize anymore.
So, Muzi, is it safe to say you are going to be contesting
Exactly, that's what you're
the
saying.
results?
That's what we're saying. Even the process itself,
What kind of evidence are we talking about here?
it will be provided in due course.
We've got evidence.
We've
We'll
got
share
it.
it. We'll-
Just want to make sure I got it right. These allegations were only brought to your attention after the 9 o'clock deadline.
There are some that were brought before and others with evidence also
Coming
after the 9 o'clock deadline.
Did you do anything about the ones that were brought before?
Yes.
Yes. Remember, we submitted a letter, we engaged with the CEO.
The CEO.
We had a private conversation with him because he pulled us onto the side, of which even that was not satisfactory in terms of the outcomes of that discussion.
You mentioned anger among your members. Are there threats of violence?
Shahan, this is not a time to play games here, okay? We're talking about a volatile environment here. So let's not play games about violence. We're taking this is a very serious matter. We're saying that there is serious concern that is being brought by members of society to us. And as leaders, it's important that we air and share, those concerns with the rest of the members of civil society. So, and as you heard Muzi say, and that's our position, we're urging our members to not act in any way that is violent. We will continue to practice, a peaceful process in terms of our campaign and how we've been through today. And that's that. But we are raising these concerns and we are rejecting these and we request a recount in the areas. And we've made it very clear in the letter that we sent to the CEO. That's it. So let's not create a narrative that UMkhonto Wesizwe is, raging for violence. No, that's not true.
So what's due cause in terms of this evidence that you're saying you'll provide to us? What's due cause? Today,
the former.
tomorrow morning, Sunday afternoon?
Just allow the process
results?
to unfold. We'll communicate. If it means we'll call another person, we'll do so.
So when you say process to unfold, we are
Our
probably
internal
a day-
processes.
Okay.
So we're collecting all the documentation
All the
and the evidence as you
documentation
request.
so that whatever we pursue is informed by the documents that we'll also share with you guys. Thank you very much.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.